Hi, game developers. Chris DeLeon here of GAM Keto. And I gave a little blood today, and while I was in there doing that, it was just for a checkup, I was reminded about the story my mom told me long ago about possibility of being a veterinarian, because she knew I like animals. I care a lot about animals. I don't like seeing them hurt and so on. And so I thought maybe I want to be a veterinarian. And the point she made was that if you're a veterinarian, day to day, 8 hours a day, whatever it works out to be, the time you spend with animals is animals who are sick and hurt and dying and then not in good shape. That while it's certainly true and valuable and extremely respectable that in order to help those animals who are going to be sick and hurt and stuff anyway, you got to find a way to get over that. It means that it's sometimes a very challenging career path for someone to take if they're very, very sensitive to animals who are uncomfortable and not in good shape. That's one of the challenges of that profession. And the tie into that, too, of course, to our game development stuff, or really any creative stuff, is that most creative processes in almost any medium, dance, songwriting, painting, drawing, writing novels, whatever it is, video game, stuff of any kind, level design, programming, for gameplay, you name it, is you make a really, really rough, broken, raw version of it, a rough draft in our English class parlance, and if you decide to move forward on the rough draft, then you spend the whole rest of that time dealing with that busted, raw, broken, incomplete thing, and all of its flaws and imperfections, looking straight into its errors and dealing with those to make it less so you can make it ready for strangers to look at and enjoy. And that if what you like is the output of the process, you're probably focusing on kind of the wrong part of it. Because by the time you finish working on a game's broken bustedness, and you think of this as like a veterinarian having to work with an animal who is not 100% okay, by the time it's okay, it's no longer yours to focus on anymore. You release that stuff, move on to the next game that's broken and has fires that need to be put out and is in bad shape. Right? I mean, if you want to be a baker, you better learn to have a taste for working with uncooked dough. Right? If you want to, if you like the idea of being a woodworker because you like custom furniture, the woodworker, by the time the furniture is ready to sell that stuff or move that stuff on or do something with it, because then they're going back to more sawdust, more rough cut boards, more splinters. And that as game developers, the stuff that you're dealing with are inevitably incomplete. They're missing features. There's stuff that's not happening and not fitting on the schedule, and parts of it aren't coming together as well as you wish they were. You have to make some compromises about the number and style of levels and puzzles and mechanics. And all those challenges are a part of the challenge of making games. And in fact, out of the many people who I work with in email now, in one-on-one Skype training, in my club, over the years, young and old, from K up through graduate students with PhD students and whatever, overwhelmingly, the limiting factor is not really that they don't know enough programming or that they aren't good enough at the design process. Overwhelmingly, it's having this stomach to look directly at their flawed thing, their imperfect, rough, raw, ugly prototype long enough to get through fixing it and improving it to make it better to get out there, because they just want to avert their eyes and look away from it and they get squeamish about this is actually, in a way, it's even harder, or it's harder in a different way, I'll say that the errors in something we produce are reflections of ourselves, of our own inadequacies, our own things we're struggling with, right? Our own little issues of well, it's not quite good yet, and it's not good. But in order to overcome that, you've got to be ready to get deep into there, look straight at it, and fix it. And that is useful, I think, to recognize as part of the challenge, as part of the thing to be overcome as a game developer, as part of the things to learn to become more comfortable with, dealing with the fact that that's never going to be easy. You're dealing with flaws that you put there, but you got to, because the customer or the player or whoever else in that pipeline, your teammates, sure as heck don't want to. You got to deal with it so they don't have to. Save them the trouble, right? And it's just like go back to examples like the baker. That's why they just can't sell a plate full of uncooked cookie dough, because they've got to deal with it in incomplete state, step by step by step by step, all of which are inedible until the end result. And by the time it's edible, it's no longer theirs to worry about. Someone else gets to enjoy that, right? And so with your games, be looking at just how do you build up comfort with the fact that, it's ugly right now, and it's incomplete, and it's not perfect, but in order to make it more so and move it along forward in the process, you're going to have to develop a comfort at dealing with that imperfect, flawed, not great yet state, to keep pushing on it and getting practice at that. And no matter how good you get, no matter how long you've been doing it, the process is still going to involve that. And at best, you're going to get more comfortable dealing with those uglier, rougher states and being able to better visualize what you realistically can and can't get out of them based on the prototype or proof of concept that you first roughly banged together in a really raw way. So anyway, it's Chris DeLeon here. I look forward to playing your games in the future, especially the ones that you find a way to develop the patience and persistence and just stomach to deal with the challenge of how rough and raw it is in order to polish it up, iterate on it, improve it, go to first draft, to second draft, to third draft, however many drafts it takes to get that game out there and put it in front of strangers in a way that they're going to really appreciate and enjoy and gain something from, as opposed to, just showing them something like, hey, friends, look at this thing I did, turn into something where you can show people stuff and they're going to enjoy it for their own reasons based on kind of what it's become because of all the attention you've given it, which is hard, but worth doing. So like I said, Chris DeLeon here. Thanks for tuning in. You know what? If you haven't signed up yet for the gamketo.training stuff, I'm really enjoying doing those. I'm still responding to every single email people click reply on. Loving it. So if you want just a weekly reminder to keep you staying on track, keep you looking at what have you been doing, what are you doing next. Like I say, sometimes it's uncomfortable to look at those challenges and about the imperfect state we're in, but you got to look at it if you're going to fix it. You got to put it up in front of your face. So that's it for now. I'll catch you another time. Thanks for tuning in.